Hi, I'm Iliana Moore. I'm a graduate student in the entomology department at OSU, and I'm specifically studying bumblebee genetics in the lab of Dr. Jamie Strange, more specifically working on how bumblebee genetics are affected by urbanization. I work in the Rothenbuehler bee lab. We have some honeybee research in there and now some bumblebee research as we've moved into that lab. I am looking at whether or not the ways cities are constructed and the process of urbanization could be interfering with the gene flow and dispersal of bumblebees across a landscape. Any water-resistant man-made surface that covers the ground, so that's concrete, buildings, roads, all of those sorts of constructions. In relation to bumblebees, those are areas that don't have any plants for them to forage on and don't have any ground for them to nest in. So those are areas that they can't really utilize. Bumblebee populations across the city are isolated from each other. There's not going to be a lot of migration across them, and they could end up being actually genetically isolated and maybe inbred over time based on this type of landscape construction. So my project is to figure out whether or not that's actually happening. So from day to day in my research, there are days where I'm dedicated to field work, where I go out to my field locations with the undergrads in my lab, and we will collect bees from these locations, note which species we've caught, and take our genetic samples from them. Then we'll also have other days where we're just working in the lab and doing the PCR procedure and doing all of that genetic analysis. So when it comes to pollinators and bumblebees in particular, bumblebees are a very important native group of species in the United States. They are essential for a lot of wildflowers and crops and sort of garden plants that people grow across pretty much the entire country. But they're also declining a lot in the past few decades. And I think it could be very important to not only try to preserve their natural prairie habitats sort of out in the wildlands, but to focus on helping them survive within our own city environments, both because they provide important functions for city gardens and agriculture and things like that. There's so much city area that could easily be very friendly to bumblebees if only we could better understand what they need, how aspects of the city are negatively or positively affecting them, and how we can better design cities to maintain them and keep them healthy instead of just driving them out.